my amazing viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are connecting from. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you so much and remain blessed. Whenever you look my video, whenever you watch my video, share the video to all platforms. Share it to family and friends. Share it in your WhatsApp group so that people can get information on what is happening in the contraption called Nigeria, mainly against the Biafrans, against the Duduas, against the indigenous people in the contraption called Nigeria. I try as much as possible to set the record straight. I don't preach hate speech. I don't speak against people. I set the record straight. The only important thing I do here is to make sure that the plight of the people remains on the front burner and the world will know the true story of what is going on in the contraption called Nigeria.
The program is Focus Nigeria, and in the face of recent insecurity, recent killings, happenings that have become an everyday occurrence, it's imperative that we look once again at Nigeria's security challenges. And we have in the studio Mike Ejiofor, retired director with the DSS. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. And
Professor Lajide Lagunju, a security analyst, will be joining us via Zoom. Prof, great to have you on the program. All right, so we'll be hearing from him certainly. And let me begin with Mr. Ejiofor. Of course, I'm sure you're as bothered as every other Nigerian about these reports of killings on a daily basis. What can the country do?
Well, just like you rightly said, any well-meaning patriotic Nigerian must be bothered with the recent upsurge and deteriorating security situation in our country. And the question is, where have we gotten it wrong? What are we to do, or what are we supposed to do that we are not doing? And in fact, a lot of my friends, even security analysts and people who are my followers on TV, have on several times called me to say, come, you are no more appearing on TV. I say I have virtually exhausted all I think I can say, because it's only a madman that we do the same thing and expect a different result. The question is, are the people we are talking to listening, or there is other motive for they are not even taking action? The security situation got to its head, you know, with this last, this is not the first time, this last train bombing in Kaduna-Abuja route. And
but just yesterday, 20-something people were killed in Plateau State, another 20-something in Benue, and 100. There was a mass burial of 100 persons in Benue State.
In fact,
the Nigerians cannot
because I think it was on China's television yesterday. I deliberately refused to read out the figures here because it was frightening. We think to know the number of people that have died and the number of people that have been kidnapped. And the question is, a lot of people will tell you our security has collapsed, our security architecture is not working. I don't tend to agree that our security agencies are not working. The problem is we have a myriad of security challenges. Now, people are worried because the most visible of all our development is security. And the primary purpose of government is security and welfare of the people. If you look at the other sectors, they are even worse. But because there cannot be development without security, that's why people are worried. Is it the power sector that our national grid is always breaking down? Is it the economy that the dollar is flying? Is it the life of average Nigerian that is no more affordable? Is it the killing or daily killings of innocent Nigerians? So the problems are enormous. And I sympathize with our security agencies because they are operating in a very difficult situation. I've said this in times without number, that our security agencies are not adequately funded. And people will say, what of the little work they have been given to them? What have they done with it? That also brings us to another problem.
We'll come back to you. Let's talk with Professor Lajide Olagunju. Prof, we have often talked about the porosity of Nigerian borders, you know, with people from neighboring countries coming in, especially those who look exactly like Nigerians that you can hardly differentiate between Nigerians and them. In what measure has this contributed to the insecurity that we're talking about?
Thank you very much. If you are aware, for every 4 Africans, that's in Nigeria, I'm sure you are aware of that. So we are the leader. And so this problem is not whether our borders are porous, and that's not the problem. And the thing is to go back to the issue of national security and to understand what we are talking about here. When you talk about national insecurity, you have to imagine a tree. If you imagine a tree, you have the roots, you have the stem, and you have the leaves. So, and the Nigerian situation, you have to look at it from the 3 E's. What is the environment? The environment of national insecurity. Who are the engineers of national insecurity? And who are the enablers? Now, when you come to the enablers, you then look at who are the drivers. And then, when I get there, I'll tell you that even the drivers, it's another E. So you have the 4 E, the economic insecurity. But let me begin at the base, at the roots. Because if we can solve the problem at the roots, national security will be restored. And then we need to bother about which black person entering Nigeria. I mean, I see Nigeria as home to every black person. And so that's not the problem for me. Now, at the roots of national insecurity is a 30, 40-year, 50-year problem. Now, if you go back to the roots of Nigeria itself, Nigeria became a country independent free in 1960. Now, prior to 1960, there was an environment that led to 1960. And in 1960, we decided we would continue with that environment. And it's the environment of law, legal framework of the country, particularly the macroeconomic framework, macroeconomic legal framework from about the mid-50s to mid-60s. The founders of Nigeria, North, South, decided that the only way Nigeria will be secure politically and economically, but particularly economically, is to have a system whereby everyone relies on its own strength. In the North, where I belong to a minority ethnic group, we had what was called agriculture, and we agreed that we would build our economy around agriculture, and it will work for us perfectly. In the West, they have their own, mostly again agriculture. It worked. In the East, similar. And the country, in spite of the little money we had as a country, was peaceful, relatively peaceful. So what happened? Very, very simple. The new environment that we created from mid-50s to mid-60s, which is an economic independence for each region, each state of the country, we destroyed that. We decided beginning in 1969 with the once petroleum decree that beginning with oil, petroleum, we decided to become nationalized petroleum. In 1979, with Obasanjo's 1979 decree, we nationalized all other resources. So it's other minerals, including petroleum. And that's section 40 of the 1979 Constitution. In 1999, with the Asorock Constitution, we repeated the error made by Obasanjo. Asorock decided to retain that legal framework, macroeconomic framework that says everything belongs to everyone. And then this both himself and Obasanjo agree that everybody comes to Abuja or Lagos as it was then to collect money. Now, so all the regions, all the states live off the center. All the states, all the regions live off the center. That is irresponsibility. That's political irresponsibility. Because there's no way you can grow. Again, look at the tree. A tree does not grow from the leaves. It is a situation where we have agreed, our political elites, not our people, because it was first. The politicians now in power have continued it. That's where they are wrong. And by the way, that was what was colonized. So effectively, Nigeria is colonized. So that's the problem. Now, who are the engineers? I've already mentioned, it's the political engineer, whether they're uniform like the one Obasanjo or Absalami. They engineer the law to make us go down economically. So now, who are the enablers? Who make national security happen? It is young people. You cannot have a violent situation without strength. And it's young people that have strength. So that's what you have said before. What drives young people to it is economic insecurity. So behind our national insecurity is economic insecurity. We need to understand that. We may choose to continue as we are, but we need to understand that our problem is economic insecurity. We said it already. Literacy, low level of literacy, unemployment, and of course, power play among politicians. So the solution to insecurity in Nigeria is to go back to where we got it from. We were right to agree that Nigeria, because there are over 500 ethnic groups in Nigeria, the only way to live in Nigeria is to have an economic situation where each region is independent. By nationalizing the economy of Nigeria, we destroy the roots of Nigeria. All right, economics for each region and state. All right. We've taken the problem where there's no longer.
All right, Prof. Let me ask Mr. Ejiofor here. You have what Prof said, that behind the current insecurity is economic insecurity and a lack of planning for the young ones, for the youths. You know, their excessive strength. People have said that the excessive strength of the youths can move them to do either positively or negatively a lot of things. Now, would you agree with Prof? Because so many things have been tried and it doesn't seem that it's abating. Rather, we're hearing more and more of such terrible news every day.
Yeah, I agree with the Prof on some of the enablers are the youths. And who enables the youths? The politicians. If you look at the whole country, we have virtually x-rayed and identified our problems. Let us stop this our lamentation. What we should be talking, how do we move forward from this area? Okay, I tell you, for instance, it's only the South that is relatively peaceful now. Relatively peaceful. I'm not saying it's completely peaceful in terms of security. Now, you go to the Southeast, you have agitation of indigenous people of Biafra. You go to the Southwest, you have agitation, Odua People's Congress, political struggle, and all what have you. You go to the Northwest, kidnappings and killing. You go to the North Central, it's even worse. You go to the North, so virtually there's no country. We are still trying to manage these ones. We've not been able to manage them. That's why I agree with him on the issue of youths. We will not be able to manage them. Now, I tell you, in the next few weeks or days, the trouble that is going to erupt in the South will be unimaginable.
Why would you say that?
Now, you see, there have been this foot dragging on part of government to constitute the Niger Delta Development Commission, which has not been done, and there is serious agitation underground. So why don't we take the initiative and nip all these things in the bud before they manifest? Because if they manifest, first of all, like Paul said, we depend more than 80% of our economy on oil, and that oil is stolen. Have you seen the figure, the amount of money stolen?
That was part of what we treated 2 days ago.
The amount of money stolen from oil, which is our mainstay, is still over 80%. Who are the people behind this? And if you come to it, so I'm warning now, and they're advising government the need for them to handle this issue of Niger Delta, because we are moving into election. Everybody will, to attend all Israel, they begin to agitate and begin to look for demands.
Then talking precisely about constituting the NDDC board.
Now on the youths are the people going to be used in Niger Delta. It's the same youth that are being used, all these bandits and
now what we are actually looking at, I mean, we have the problems, we see them there before us every day. How do we begin to uproot these problems? Because Prof talked about rooting. Yes, this can happen, the youth can do this. How do we now begin to root out those things? How do we begin to carry the youths along to the point where they will no longer present themselves as instruments to be used for nefarious activities?
You see, some of the enablers are drug dealers who sell drugs to the youths. Only recently, because we continue to hear this, we begin to hear of in the southeast. No normal human being can do what they are doing. They are doing this under the influence of drugs or alcohol. So we must address those issues. Who are the people? Who are the drug cartel? And that brings to the issue of the activities of the NDLA of recent. You see the number of people being arrested, high profile, this thing. So we must address, uproot this drug issue, because it's at the root of all this problem. Then you look at our politicians who use the youths to cause insecurity in the country. It's a very daunting challenge that we must face. Then attitudinal change. We cannot leave these things to government alone. Nigerians, I can tell you, many Nigerians are very religious, but are ungodly. You look at a situation, every street, you have one church, you have one mosque. In the morning you hear call for prayers and all these things. Are we actually practicing this, our religion? Okay, recently we can hear the people talking about domestic violence, killing your wife, and these are people who practice one particular religion. So the religion, again, is another major problem. We need to change our attitude, be patriotic, love our country. But people will also ask you love our country, what has the country done for you?
Mr. Jeffrey, we will certainly continue this discussion, but we'll take a break now. When we come back, we want to look at whether the security architecture is overwhelmed, and of course the suggestion by the Kaduna State Governor and the conspiracy theory. Stay with us. You're still watching Focus Nigeria on Africa Independent Television, and we're looking at Nigeria's security challenges. Now I would like to ask Professor Olajide, Prof, is the security architecture of this country overwhelmed? We know that you've talked about, rooting this problem, from ensuring that the youths are positively engaged. You talked about it being a 40 to 50 year problem, that has stretched from then to now, because instead of each region being self-sufficient, everybody comes cap in hand to the center. Why the authorities look at that, why Nigerians look at that? Let's look at the immediate measures to curb this. Is the security architecture of this country overwhelmed, and what can be done?
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. Of course, the security people are overwhelmed, and they have to be overwhelmed because the problem has not become hydra-headed. We are facing the problem from several angles, so much violence from every part of the country. So what do you think will happen to the security architecture? It's collapsed. It has collapsed. In fact, the military have to defend themselves now because barracks are now being attacked and overwhelmed. So what is the solution? My friend, Mr. Joffo, has said that people should also be responsible for themselves. I think that is very correct. You can't leave everything to government. You can't go to sleep in the situation we are now and say government will protect me, because government is struggling to protect itself. So that's number one. The challenge with that, is that it could be chaotic. So we need to look again at what is driving our insecurity, which, like I said, is economic insecurity. Because no matter how bad things are, if you don't have enough to carry all these violence, instruments of violence, you will see the peaceful. So we need to go back to what can we do to make sure we have economic security in Nigeria, so that we can have a root solution. And again, the responsibility is with the politicians in government, not just the president, but especially the lawmakers. We need to change our law. The law that makes everybody go caps in hand to Abuja has to be changed. Make every state responsible economically. Return their wealth to them and tell them, don't come to Abuja, manage your wealth. We did it in the past and it worked very well. The north grew, the west grew, the south is the east grew. And so recently you saw what happened when Obasanjo took the national cake, a big portion from the State in 2004-2007. Because woke up and became responsible. So that shows you that any state that is no longer able to look at the federal government will look inwards and look for a way to sustain their people. And when the people are sustained, when people can have economic security, national security will return at all levels. That's my perspective. The politicians in the legislative houses, federal and state, must do the needful. They should stop playing the ostrich. They are responsible for making us have economic law that will grow the country. That's my perspective.
All right. Recently, the governor of Kaduna State asked, he told the nation, that he may have to resort to bringing in mercenaries to come and deal with the issue of banditry in his state. Is this a right step, Prof?
I think it's a very, very wrong, ill-advised suggestion. He's playing the ostrich. And that's my challenge with political leadership in Nigeria. We play the ostrich. And I'm not blaming only those who are in government. Those of us, elites of Nigeria, outside of government, have become irresponsible, including myself. We are playing the ostrich with the fortune of Nigeria. This is one of the richest countries in the world. We have no reason to have economic insecurity, but we are all just managing things. Making 5 brigade approaches to things. N5 maybe is the biggest face of our ostrich nature as an elite group. And it is very shameful because, like I said, for every 4 Africans, one is a Nigerian. That tells you that we are the leaders in this continent. But we are barbarian and responsible. We need to change our law. That's what needs to be done. Pure and simple. Return to the 1960 Constitution, which provides that everyone owns what is in the soil and in his waters, and is responsible for himself and takes care of the federal government. We have been fasting. That's what we're having, the problem we're having. So no matter how many mercenaries you bring from wherever you want to bring them from, they cannot solve our problem. Anyway, Nigeria is the biggest in Africa, so who is going to protect us? So that's my perspective to that.
Mr. Joffo, of course you know what the Kaduna State governor said. Now, some people have also linked it to the conspiracy theory. Some have said, because you recall that a chieftain, a political bigwig, had once alleged that mercenaries were brought in towards the election in order for that party to win the election. And some people have said, oh, elections are closed by again, and this man is suggesting bringing in mercenaries when the ones that were brought in before are yet to return to where they were brought from.
Well, that is laughable because I don't speculate. I've heard that conspiracy theory, and I regard it as speculation because I have not had any data to prove what they are saying. But the fact remains that these are not Nigerians. Most of them operating in Nigeria are not Nigerians. So that brings us to the issue of our porous borders. And not only that, if you bring an outsider to come into Nigeria to operate, there is no way he can operate successfully and freely without the local collaboration of the locals.
Like they say, the rat in
the outside, in the house.
Is it that cause the rat outside to come and see what is in the house?
So they cannot be operating on their own, freely, without hindrance. So it's a major problem. Don't also forget that Boko Haram, when the heat was turned on them in the northeast, virtually relocated. Which government also confirmed this, the federal government, that there's a link between, I don't know whether the Minister of Information is just knowing that this thing has been established fact since that they're operating in concert. And Boko Haram, ISWAP and ISIS are working together. So they have international connections. It is not a local problem. We need to collaborate with foreign partners. Like we asked, Governor El-Rufai, out of desperation, has admitted that there's intelligence, there's intercept, they know the location of these people. Then what is holding us from striking? The fact remains that, like I said, I sympathize with our military, because go anywhere in the world, when our military operates, which is also aligning with the issue of theory of environment, if you go outside the country, Nigerian military are just the best in terms of and they have,
when we went to Liberia,
exactly, they maintain peace in them. So why can we not maintain peace in our country now? It becomes a puzzle to all of us. Now the issue is, how do we go out of this crowd? I've said, let us stop lamenting. We recall also how an American citizen was kidnapped in Nigeria and brought to Nigeria. That's the issue. I'm not talking about mercenaries. I'm talking of foreign collaboration now with partners. How they came into Nigeria with collaboration of our local intelligence and security forces, got some of those bandits killed, and released their citizen. One citizen. Do you know how much it took America to deploy to release that their citizen? So we are not paying much attention to our security. These things need to be technologically driven, which we are not sure I'm not sure. I don't know the audit. I don't know the arsenal they have. But I know that if we have effective drones to look at these problems, by the time they take off from the way they are going, our efforts should be deployed. Efforts need a strategic role now to bring this fight to because if there's a strike 2 or 3 times against them as they are coming in, not waiting for them to go and take hostages, then begin to negotiate. We must prevent this thing from happening. And the locations are known, like El-Rufai said, he is the chief security officer of the state, so he has available intelligence for him to come and say that. The Minister of Transportation also confirmed that they have information on this attack. The MD of Nigeria Railway Corporation also confirmed. So we are not lacking in intelligence. What we need is action to bring this into the halt. So we need to collaborate. We are not saying whether we bring foreigners, we bring mercenaries.
Why do you think that each time this intelligence information comes in, we are not able to act as a country until that thing eventually happens?
It's lack of capacity. You recall that in the, I think 2014 thereabout, before the election of 2015, mercenaries were brought into this country, and that has stabilized this incredible election for that period. I'm not saying I'm not against, I'm not supporting mercenaries, but I'm saying that we need collaboration with foreign partners. We'll be able to stabilize this arena for election to take place. So how did that stop? Because bringing in mercenaries, which is not in the power of the state governor to do, we have its own disadvantages and pitfalls. So what we are doing is we must, as a matter of urgency, get these operations technologically driven. How many soldiers are killed every day? Soldiers are killed. People are not talking about that these people have dependents, but each time the military, that's also where I have a problem. The military will also come and tell us that 1,000 have surrendered, they bombed this in, 2,000 have been killed. And I say, if they are being killed, why don't you display their bodies, just like they're displaying those of our
but I think that even beyond displaying their bodies, there's something that's quite worrisome. I would like to ask Professor Olajide. Prof, I know you're all for fiscal federalism, each zone being self-sufficient, but let me also ask you this, like what Mr. Ejiofor has just mentioned. These insurgents, repent, some of them are shown to the Nigerians, but although even the ones that are killed, we don't see their bodies, but the repentant ones, and then they are readily absorbed even into the military architecture of this country. A lot of people are worried about that because nobody knows the extent to which the de-radicalization exercise that must have taken place has been effective. Prof. Professor Olajide.
Yes. So what's your question?
My question is,
what is your question?
Yes, how right is that move of absorbing the repentant insurgents after the de-radicalization exercise, without really verifying how effective that exercise has been?
Somebody running down your country, and you de-radicalize him by incorporating him into your security architecture. Who does that? Well, like my brother Mr. Ejiofor said, the intelligence agencies in Nigeria, the security agencies in Nigeria, they are capable. We say the same thing. They are capable. They've proven that over and over again. But the question is, are the people we are talking to listening? That's what he said. That was the first thing he said. Are the people we are talking to listening? No soldier can fire a shot without permission, without order. That is the way things run in the military and in intelligence agencies. So no matter how good our people are, no matter how capable they are, if the political leadership remains irresponsible, we cannot go forward. And we have to tell ourselves the truth. So the approach, of course, to the national security is strong. I've given you the legal reason why it is strong. The political reason why it is strong. For me, we have to go back to the drawing board. As long as we don't face the issue of economic insecurity, we cannot really be sincere about dealing with national insecurity. Now, about what we discussed earlier on, conspiracy theory and all that. Now, bringing in people from outside, that's not the problem. It's not mercenaries that we need. What we need is what Mr. Ejiofor spoke to. We need people who can help us to strengthen our already relatively capable intelligence agencies. They look incompetent, in quotes, because we are not enabling them as he tried to explain. So we need, of course, the international community will help us. No matter how much help you get, no matter how capable your people are, if political leadership remains irresponsible to to its role as a national security provider and enabler, we cannot move forward. Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Ejiofor, just as we wrap up the program, you also touched on the porosity of our borders, which has always been a problem, and that was where we, part of where we started from. Now, what can be done about these borders? Over the years, people have pointed it out, but when you go to most of these borders, there's really nothing to demarcate between Nigeria and the next country. What can be done?
Well, this issue of border, worries me, because you remember during the fall of Libya's regime, Gaddafi, people had, and I ask, even though they are operating in this, are we neighboring country to Libya? They move all the way, Niger, Chad, and all this now, and come and settle in Nigeria. So it doesn't make sense to me. What I think we should do is that, first of all, let us deploy the Air Force. I still insist that the Air Force is not doing enough to bring this crisis to a head. Another major problem we have, because you say we are rounding up, is the conspiracy within the military. We have bad eggs. So because of there's this proverb in my place that the mad people, mechanic will not allow them to know mad people because of the way they dress, or the lizard that is stupid and lying. You don't know the one that has stomach ache. Now, the military must on its own part purge itself of some bad eggs, so that the people who are committed to the country will do the work.
So you think that some people are actually making gains from what is happening?
I am not thinking. They are there. You remember Wadume's case. There are so many cases where the military was involved, or our security agencies, let me put it that we are involved. So we need to look inwards to search and bring out these bad eggs who are spoiling the name of the city. Tied to that is corruption. The National Assembly, I can see some of them crying now on the floor of the house that well, this security, what are you doing in your oversight function? You collect money for oversight, the little one given to them to purchase substandard equipment. Look at the way we've been rated by US. So it's a major problem.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mike Ejiofor, retired director with the DSS. Thank you for coming on Focus Nigeria and for weighing in on this all-important issue. And Professor Olajide Olagunju, security analyst. Thank you so much, Prof. I'm sure after some time again we will still review what has happened depending on the progress that we'll make after now. Thank you so much for coming on the program. And this is where we draw the curtain today on Focus Nigeria. Thank you for staying with us. Don't forget to join us tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning for another edition. My name is Uju AJ.
Thank you so much for your patience to watch from the beginning to the end. I hope you have learned something from the video you have just watched. The video you have just watched is to bring information to your doorstep and for educational purpose. It is not to demonize anybody. Let us watch continuously and see who can be able to make a sense out of every nonsense we are seeing. We must continue. We move. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what they say. They will kill us. We will kill them. At the end of the day, Biafra is here. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please kindly subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so that you're notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you and remain blessed. Bye-bye. See you again.